Hello hunters, my name is Johnny Shrimp, and I beat Monster Hunter Wilds. Let's talk about it. To get this started, we have to talk about my personal experience with the Monster Hunter series. I've been playing since Monster Hunter Tri, back when it was on the Wii. From there, my journey truly started when we started playing Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, Monster Hunter 4U, Monster Hunter Generations, Monster Hunter World, Rise, some Monster Hunter titles that aren't coming to me right now, and now Wilds. So obviously I have some time with this franchise. I've been playing since I was in middle school. Granted, I wasn't the best at these games, considering only now am I finally being the person who actually does meta things and hunts fast and chooses all the correct skills. Back then I just played for fun because I was simple-minded. So why do you care about my opinions? Well, honestly, you shouldn't. But don't click off the video just yet. I want to at least go over the good, compelling arguments of the good stuff that this game has to offer, as well as the bad and ugly parts of it. And before we start the video, I want to make it clear that I did have a different experience from a lot of people. I have a 4090 and a decent setup for my computer. So yes, I can handle the game pretty well, and no, it wasn't as terrible of a performance as it was for other people. So the experience does vary in that regard. Now my brother, on the other hand, he actually played on a 1080 Ti, so he suffered a little bit more than I did. But we will get into that later in the video. For now, let's begin with our initial impressions. This is the entrance I get when I come back to Wilds. Oh, this is fire. Ooh. Having no sacred sucks. These guys are taking my fucking sacred. What the fuck? What is that? It's a giant rooster. Hey yo, that's a sick one. Alone. Oh my god, that is so cool. What the fuck? God, I hate these monkeys, bro. What the fuck? What in the Death Eater is this shit? What? Why is Harry Potter shit in here? Holy f... It's a fucking octopus! Oh, dude, that is sick. Oh, we're fucked.
What the fuck was that?
I think the reactions speak for itself. We can't talk about Monster Hunter without talking about the monsters first. And I have to say, starting from the beginning, every single monster I was getting back to back to back was such a banger. I truly believe that they took the best part from Worlds, and where they showcased the monsters in a really dope light, not making the progression too slow and not making it crazy fast. I'll be honest with you, I have not felt this sense of progression in a while in Monster Hunter. Usually it's much slower than that, and I'm talking we're collecting mushrooms, doing some fetch quests, or just simple monster hunting for little monsters. And instead, you immediately get thrown into some dangerous situations that follows the story laid out for us. The monsters in this game excelled at showing just how fierce they can actually be. The ecology of the monsters was also dope to study. I felt like a true monster hunter as we blended science and hunting together, to understand the monsters, to also understand their place in their environments. Let's talk about the hunter. God damn! Talk about aura farming. I mean, there's really no better way to put it. I just felt badass from the start. I jumped off a boat, grabbed a sacred, saved a kid, beat a monster's ass, and yeah, I'm not a rookie. I love the voice acting, and overall, being the hunter this time around feels so much better. It truly gave respect to all the veterans out there. I wonder how it feels for you new players, but I'm assuming you also feel pretty dope just being tossed in there and feeling like a badass. Before I go any further in this video, I would appreciate if you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I tend to never put this on my videos, and I have noticed that, well, people forget to do any of that and they just kind of skim on by. So yeah, I guess we have to start doing that now, but I appreciate it nonetheless, and we'll continue. As for the Sacred, I did give it an 8 out of 10, not a 10 out of 10. The reason why, I really do love the Sacred. Don't get me wrong, I love that little chicken bird thing, but Ultimately, what really brought it down was the fact that you have to change a lot of the settings to make it just perfect to how you want it. And although that is a bit harsh of a critique, I do have to say that unless you were otherwise told or you are familiar with how this game works, you would have probably never even known to have turned off wandering or anything like that. So that's why I dropped the score a little bit. As for the Palico, super freaking helpful. I mean, the Palico just in general, I love the Palicos. They're my little friends. I just cannot get over how cool they are. And although I'm not a fan of a talking cat, I do appreciate that they gave the voice acting for them. For me, it just feels weird. I've been so used to them just being like, meow. So I kept it how it is. We got to talk about combat. It's so good that I have to contemplate whether I want to play Monster Hunter Wilds with its beautiful combat or go goon to Amaranth's streams. Let's be honest, this is a really easy answer here, fellas. Play Monster Hunter Wilds. I really don't have any complaints. I've used every single weapon in this game. It's been great to use every single weapon. You've been added with new mechanics to basically all of them. The clashing, power clashing, it just feels so badass, so cinematic. So many great TikToks have been born because of that freaking monster clashing. It truly is the epitome of like all the work that's been done previously. And you know what? I think that in the future we will likely see more moves added and we will see improvements done for all the weapons as the game keeps going. So John, what weapons do you like? Aha, thank you for asking. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, I never expected this to ever happen in my life, but goddamn do I enjoy the hunting horn. And I'm sorry, I think it is the only weapon that I have personally felt and seen be the most used with the whole switching out different weapons. Now that we can carry 2 weapons, I feel like the hunting horn is the only weapon that truly benefits from it. Maybe I'm wrong down the line, but that's how I feel so far. And since I just got off playing an MMO, Elder Scrolls Online, I was like, hey, let me be a healer, let me be a support class. Everyone plays Mick Badass over here, and usually people cart all the time, so why don't I make a build that just basically has wide range, gives a bunch of buffs, and just makes everything easy. And to be honest, I saw a noticeable difference. What used to take everyone like maybe 19, 18 minutes, I effectively, with all the buffs and everything else, I started seeing time get cut down to like 10 minutes, 9 minutes. So yeah, I personally did see a big difference just because we added that hunting horn. As a funny mention, I also noticed that I was less of an asshole. I felt like I was more happy that my teammates are doing damage and are surviving. I just feel like being a support, I don't know, it just felt great. I felt less of a need to be like, why did I, why did not enough TV, none of that. It's more so like, nah, you guys do your own thing. I'm supporting y'all. Everyone loves me. I get to dance around. I do the dance of my people is what I always say. And it's so fun, dude. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. I love hunting horn, doot for life. Yeah, I'm all about the hunting horn now. So what's my biggest gripe with monsters in Monster Hunter Wilds? Well, there's no better way to put this. It's very small. And I'm talking, we have only 29 large monsters. And yes, I know people are going to complain and talk about how everyone was going fast and how you've put too many hours and you should do this and you should do that. At the end of the day, it's still small. As a matter of fact, out of all the Monster Hunter games out there, I think this actually might be the one with the least amount of large monsters in the base game. Granted, I know that things will be added. I know DLC will probably later on bring out G rank and we'll see way more things. I mean, for God's sake, Iceborne revived worlds. That's a fact. And we know things will come, but for just the base game, yeah, it feels pretty small. And I definitely know that my brother felt at the end because once we finished everything, he really just up and said, well, we're done. And it kind of felt like that. Even though I know we have to farm decos and everything else, but you get the point. Of course, some of the other smaller complaints as well that I also had, as well as we've been resoundingly hearing it all over the place, was just issues with the friends list and how you invite people and how you just add them. It really is a jumbled up mess. It should not have been that difficult. That's just without question something that should have been simplified. Personally, I don't know. This might just be a personal gripe. This might be something for the OG hunters, but I hate the fact that I don't get to eat every fight. And I understand it makes it easier, makes it faster. You eat, it lasts 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it may be. But goddamn, my brain has been conditioned to do this since I first played. And so for me to not be able to do this has just been throwing me off. So that's a personal gripe. Again, this is not something I expect everyone to agree with. I just personally threw me off and I didn't like it. I will also say that because of that issue, I also have carded because my health suddenly went to half and it caught me off guard and I got one shot. So that definitely is a thing. Okay, with that, let's talk about the story. I think the story was great. It wasn't terrible. Thank you for letting us skip cutscenes. Granted, I didn't skip any cutscene and I was dying internally. I didn't skip it because, well, I always make it a point to watch everything from start to finish. And yeah, it was brutal, but I won't deduct points to Monster Hunter Wilds for this. And reason being is because you could have skipped the cutscenes and just gone straight to the content, which if I were to redo it again and I was never a YouTuber, I would have 100% done it because god dang does this story sometimes drag for a minute and it becomes really repetitive, even though it tries not to be, but it kind of does. I mean, some of the characters, I mean, they're not that like I like them. They're all right. I wouldn't say that I'm like blown away. My mind is whoa. Besides, you know, the Smithy girl who everyone apparently is gooning for. Me, not personally. I mean, granted, she's from Monster Hunter 4U, so that's kind of cool. And then what's his name? Sebastian, big ass Chad. I don't remember. Sagittarius. I don't know what his name is. The dude who basically investigates Gore Magala. He was the paladin hunter, or whatever the heck, the one with that cool lance back in 4U, the gold lance. So glad to see him back. So there was some parallels, there were some connections, and it feels really nice to see that. But beyond that, yeah, no, I wouldn't deduct any points to the story. Story's cool. It's as good as we're gonna get, to be honest with you, because, you know, it's not like it wasn't a story-driven game. But for what it is, it definitely feels nice. Again, if it wasn't for me being a YouTuber, I would have 100% skipped it. And if you did skip it, don't feel bad. Don't have anyone tell you otherwise. Like, do the game how you want to enjoy it. It's just, yeah, it drags on a bit. But overall, I think it does deserve a solid like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Before we go into the big kahuna, I did want to take some time to talk about quality of life. Again, I feel like people, yes, they can be too harsh with critiques, and some people at the same time can just be too lenient on the company. But in all honesty, there should be some control with the quality of life stuff that should just be in the game. Personally, I was browsing Reddit and I was just looking at what other people had to say about quality of life stuff that was missing. For one, having a button to remove all decorations from a loadout would have been great. I still don't understand why we can't craft whole sets if we have all the material. I do not know why armor skills are still not shown instead of me having to click, 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 and then finally head into it to see what it does. Although not game breaking, I mean, these are small little things that I'm just like, come on, it should be fixed. And from what I hear and from what it sounds like, it does seem like Capcom was kind of rushing everyone to just send out a game, which is why it feels a little smaller, which is rather unfortunate because, again, we're the ones who eat up the cost, and I mean, it just sucks for us. But hopefully down the line, we know that usually Capcom does pretty well in updating things, so we'll see. So let's move on. So now that we covered the bad of Monster Hunter and some of the gripes, let's go into the ugly parts. So with the launch of Monster Hunter Wilds, it definitely has a big smudge on its back with the performance issues. Like I said earlier in the video, I have a 4090, so for me personally, I very rarely ever had issues, but I did have some. Some of the shapes, like the little black stuff, would just extend all over my screen and I wouldn't be able to see, and it just looks wonky as hell, and it has, you know, affected just a little bit, and then if you looked away and then came back, it would go back to normal. But yeah, even for my hardware, it did have some moments where it would either lag, crash, or it might just have like a little weird glitch happening. So for lower tier systems, I can see it actually being an issue and not letting you enjoy the game because, well, it's unoptimized. That is something that, you know, it's difficult because, again, you want to hold these AAA studios to a high standard, and if they're going to want to sell these games to such a vast audience, because let's be real here, there's like huge amount of people who are playing it, like over 1 million people playing. So many sales, like this is blown out the water, and the fact that maybe a good chunk of those people wouldn't be able to play it just because, you know, it's not as optimized and it has issues like that, that's just unfortunate, and it shouldn't be something that we should just let go of. So I understand why it gets negative reviews. Again, even my brother who's playing on a 1080 Ti one of my old 1080 Ti's. Even for him, like he was even telling me, he's like, damn, it's lagging. And I'm like, it's not lag, homie. It's straight up FPS dropping like a sandbag, because I mean it takes a lot more hardware to run this game for sure. So that is the unfortunate smudges on the game. Beyond that, I mean, we know there was going to be exploits. I don't really have too many issues. I mean, I ran a couple of the exploits, not quote unquote exploits, but you know, the night pollen one where you farm night pollen, you get a bunch of decorations. Again, I'm a YouTuber. I do these things because I want to get early on with all this stuff, and it's easy, it's fine. I'll do it. I don't complain about the game because I sped run it. I did speed run it. I finished it within like the first day because I played 24 hours. Yeah, it's just I will never be mad at the game for, you know, quote unquote lacking as much content if I beat it in a day, if I force myself to play it that much. But for the average person, they might have put 1-2 hours. They can easily extend that time. But I took some days off from work and I decided to just go ham on it. So yeah, I just knew by the time I finish it might not have as much content as I thought. But this doesn't take away from the fact that I wish that there was more, because I played Elden Ring and I couldn't even, I played that with a whole crap ton of days worth of playing, and that was with no DLC. So, you know, when you put those two games and Baldur's Gate together, and it's like, I get it, you know, they did a new map, they did new this stuff, but yeah, either ways, it felt pretty small. For my final thoughts on this game, I'm just going to say that Monster Hunter Wilds as a whole is a game that I would definitely recommend to people. I would for sure let them know at least in advance that, you know, that if you don't have a great computer system, it might have issues, but on console, from what I've seen, it might be a little bit better. Monster Hunter as a whole franchise is just a really fun franchise to get into, and it's a great way to just spend time with friends and just hunt monsters and just do things repetitively. If you don't like farming, I obviously wouldn't recommend this game for you. I do think as time goes by and people's rose-tinted glasses start to wear off, we will start seeing more critiques for the game, and specifically there might be a larger community of outrage of wanting more to be done in the game, whether that's adding more monsters and adding just much more than what is already there. If it's not added fast enough, you might have significantly more, since we have just way more introduction to new players and to new people and to everyone covering this game. It will probably lead to a vast majority probably starting to agree as that gets bigger. So that's my personal warning to Capcom, to definitely be careful with that. Provide enough content for players, and if you are working on a DLC, which I'm pretty sure you are, price it accordingly, and just, you know, do whatever you can to provide a great experience for the hunters who've been supporting this franchise for so long. I know there will be hiccups down the road, there will likely be some kind of issue down the road, but in general, I do think Monster Hunter Wilds has the potential to just be one of those games that's talked about for many years to come, and it might just, you know, die down a bit and get revived with the DLC like we've seen with World and with basically practically every other game, because once DLC gets here, we get G rank, and G rank obviously is another demon. For the players who are playing this game and think it is difficult and it's not worth it, stick through with it, have fun, try new builds, don't just do meta stuff. I will say, for anyone who just is a meta slave, like, just stop, just go enjoy yourself, try new builds, try builds that are more support or builds that are just more about staying alive, because ultimately what this game's about is you hunt a monster and you survive, and you do it with a group of people or on your own, and you just, as long as you get it done, you are a monster hunter. If you do it fast and all that, I mean, it's cool and all, but like, let's be real here, it takes some time to get there. So that's my final word. Love this game, loved how it started. It was a strong start, and we'll see what happens as time rolls by. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said in the beginning, I hope you comment, like, and subscribe, and until next time, Johnny Shrimp is out.